Hey, good day, everybody. This is Dennis Wilborn, the Active Trend Trader. Thank you for joining us for this weekend session of the How to Make Money Trading Stocks weekly live stream that we do every Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. We do two things. Basically, we check how the indexes are doing, what they could be shaping up for next week. And also, when available, we will highlight a couple of stocks, maybe up to 3 stocks that may have a potential of moving next week. And so, with no further ado, let's get into this week's session. Here it comes. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dennis Wilborn, founder of Active Trend Traders. Welcome to this session of How to Make Money Trading Stocks and Options. This is our weekly review that we do. Hey, Roger, I haven't seen you in forever. It's good to see you, man. Yang, nice to see you. Rocco, Mike, and joining us also from the greater Manoa Valley. Are you down by the Manoa Valley? There are
a couple of valleys over.
A couple of valleys over, okay. And so Steve Ferrara is with us today. He's got a stock that he wants to show us. Then we've got a couple of other ones we want to take a look at. And I want to basically get in and take a look at why it's important to have a plan for a stock that is approaching earnings. I'm going to show you a couple that basically just it explains the reason of why I don't hold over earnings unless I have at least 10% profit going on. Remember, what we do is for training purposes. Traders should always paper trade any new method prior to the risk of their own personal capital. Let's jump right into the session. Here is the spiders. Okay, I've been watching the S&P. I've been watching the NASDAQ. I've been watching the IWM, the Russell. And here's kind of what's going on, guys. We basically... guys and gals, we have basically came up and hit a high up here back in the early September time frame. Carved out this level of resistance / support up here. There's support down at the low here, right up against the, what is that? That is the 20-day moving average. So that marks the lower level of the support we're looking at. But as you can see, price action is just kind of going dormant. Now, that oftentimes will happen as price basically does, kind of like potential energy. It coils up, and then it springs one way or the other. Oftentimes, in what technical analysis analysts will look at is it will tend to spring open in the direction of the past trend. The longer term past trend on the S&P, let's bop over to the weekly chart here. Of course, since mid-March has been, in fact, up. Now we're driving sideways. Do not be surprised if we go into a sideways movement on the S&P, and that's fine because if we go into a lateral move, just where it's horizontal, you've got a really nice little opportunity here to trade to the downside and then trade back to the upside. Sometimes it'll make that horizontal move 4, 5, 6 times. And each one of those times, if you're ready and if you're prepared, you'll be able to jump on a trade and just cut the middle out and just cut the center cut of the meat out of there for your profit. So right now, we're hanging above the moving averages, which is positive. However, we do have our momentum swinging, turned over to the downside, and the market forecast momentum has not reversed to the downside yet. And what happens when they tend to do that? Well, if you'll take a look back here, when it happened back in the October timeframe, or September timeframe, we had a really nice pullback, at least back to the bottom of the Keltner channels. Same thing over here. Once we get cooking, everything in line, in gear, in sync, then we can account for, we can anticipate a pullback. Where to? Well, you start ticking them off, your levels of support, the 20-day moving average, the 50-day moving average, and ultimately this level of support here where buyers came in to bounce off before. There's still buyers that are hanging out down there waiting for price action to get down that low. Right now, I have no signal other than I know I have a crossover on my momentum. I have no signal that says get long. I have no signal that says get short on the spiders. The Qs, as you'll notice, the Qs are down a little bit today, just a little bit. Doing a similar type pattern, we put in earlier going back to the September time from again, had two nice pullbacks back down to the lower level. We started to do a pullback again, appearing like it was going to go down to this level back at the 267 level. It didn't make it. Now, oftentimes from a technical analysis standpoint, when price action fails to get back down to the low and stops about midway in that horizontal channel, that's oftentimes a very bullish, yeah, I said the word bullish statement, because the rebound that it's looking at doing from there, it can be very strong. So what happens is, let me draw it out for you really quick, is you get a move up, you get to move back down to a level of support. You get to move back up into an area of resistance. You get to move back down. And so you've defined kind of a horizontal trading range, and then you get to move back up into the resistance area. Then you get a pullback. However, the pullback, stalls out. Now, what is that doing? Well, right now we'd have to say that while the trend is kind of sideways, right now we have to say we have a higher low in place. So that's one of the main ingredients for a trend reversal is to have that higher low in place. Now, if we then take out this past high here and also double resistance up here at this past high, that would give us a really good, we're back in the clear sky territory where prices can take off and move up from there. So that's what we're looking at with the Qs. Again, no really great pattern here to speak of, so it makes it a little bit more challenging to go ahead and try to get into a trade on this because of that factor right there. Last but not least, let's take a look at IWM. IWM, the Russell has been, now the Russell's up slightly for the day, so we've got the S&P down slightly, we've got the NASDAQ down slightly, we've got the Russell up slightly. But it too has gotten up into a past level of past resistance and is showing that it wants to, it's not showing that it wants to fall. It's just showing that it's driving sideways. We do have keep this in mind though, we do have and I'm going to blow this up for you so you can see it really good. We do have a bearish reversal signal in on the Russell. Let me blow that up a little bit for you. And it's right there. We've got a bearish engulfing that happened on Wednesday of this week. And so that is still in effect as a downside signal. However, and it will be voided if they take out the high. That will void it. But we're still hanging right up above the 8-day moving average. So there's nothing to really panic about. The price action, as you see down, or the volume action, is actually just going to go drying up. We may very well see a dry up of buying action or volume going into the Thanksgiving holiday week. That's what typically happens when you get into a holiday period. But right now, again, the way I'm looking at trading IWM, I would look at either selling or buying. I'll show you what I'm doing. I would look at buying puts if I retrace back up into this level in here and it holds and reverses down, or I could wait until that low was taken out there, which would take me back below the 8-day moving average, and I look at basically potential move back into that breakout area there, which that is at $170.40. So take a look real quick over at the weekly. Now the weekly itself, what do we have? We have a nice little spinning top, not quite a hanging man from last week, but spinning top this week, which is basically right up at a level of past resistance. And we'll see if that in fact flips back down and retraces down back into the moving averages. I would prefer seeing a trace back into the moving averages. That way we could load up for a potential run into the end of the year. Keep in mind as you're assessing and evaluating the individual leverage ETFs that the Russell has, historically performs better than the other indexes during the month of November and December. It will run harder into the end of the year, historically. Now, just because that's the history of it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it's going to actually do. But be aware that that could be a potential thing. So Steve, that's what I have. And right now, I'm keeping my powder dry. I'm with regarding the indexes until I get the setup that I want, and then then I will basically look to jump into the indexes, probably either the IWM or the Qs. Yeah. So you got any thoughts on that?
Pretty much I agree with you, but I just like to remind everyone we're in a bullish uptrend since the bottom, since the lows in March. Nothing has happened to change that. September and October has been kind of a choppy period to trade, but I think starting last Wednesday on the 11th, a lot of the things I follow started to show setups.
Yeah,
there weren't very many of them, but since last Wednesday, I'm starting to see more of them. That's the market, I think, telling me that it's time to be bullish and to take setups.
And for clarification, I want to make sure that, when we say that we are either bullish or bearish or we're looking for setups and all that kind of stuff, Steve and I are both looking for basically the same thing.
Yeah. I agree.
And just because, we have a bullish or a bearish bias, I do not have a bearish bias. I basically, the trend is up. I agree wholeheartedly with what Steve just said. However, I will be patient and wait for my setups.
Yeah.
So Steve, here's the chart. Here is the stock that you are interested in.
RBA, right. It's a relatively recent addition to the IBD 50. It's been going sideways for a while and then started to perk to the upside. It had a nice move that ended, I can't remember, your red arrow, ended it with your red arrow, yeah.
Right.
What's that date?
The 9th of November.
Yeah, and we've had a pullback, and it's starting to look very good at the cluster of the shorter term moving averages.
Right there.
And I got in today above yesterday's high.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it looks like you got a really good bounce off the 50.
Right.
And so now, are you trading options on this? Or are you trading just the stock?
Both.
Okay. Because it has
a small share position and an option position.
Okay, cool. Good. And then your expectation is to at least get back up to the past highs or close to it?
Just about where your pin is, yeah. Just under the prior high.
Yep.
And it should do better, but it may do better, but at least to that level.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that. Another one that Steve suggested, and I'm just going to roll this out there really quick. I'm not going to spend much time on it. Is SLY. Some of you may have been covering this one also. It's got a really nice pattern.
It's been a favorite of day traders the last few months, and then it fell out of favor with the pullback. But it's starting to look interesting to me.
It is. It's got good volume. Wow, about 32. No. What am I looking at here?
32 million.
Volume. Yeah, average volume is down here
about
at
18 million. No, 9 million. That's it. Okay.
Like 4 million
scale,
shares. And so that's really a interesting stock. It has basically turned back over and is back up above the moving averages. So this one looks pretty good for a potential. As again, you can if you're looking for where to buy it. Well, here's a hint. you can basically just draw a, well, maybe easier said than done. What I like to do is just draw a trend line, grab that low right there. I can pick it up to this low here, or just stretch it on up.
Yeah.
And in matter of fact, it may have come down and hit it today, but actually it did a little bit. So I came down and touched today's low, or just it's respecting that. If I can get it to stick in place, get in there. Jeez. Show and tell, I'm just failing at that. Anyway, if it comes back and just as long as it maintains up that uptrend line, it's in good shape. But I would look for a pullback back into the moving averages or the 50-day moving average. The 50-day moving average at that breakout point is looking really good. This one also is one that has leverage. It has weekly options, just simply because I like the volume profile on it.
Yeah, it's got great volume. Yeah.
And so I want to basically share just one last thing on a chart before we head on just and call it a day, is and that's why we had several stocks that reported earnings this week. One of them was Workday.
Yeah. And
Workday, we have been riding Workday on and off for going back over to this area where it was down here at about 201. No, here, hold on a second. Take that back. Yeah, we've been riding Workday. Actually, we did some profits over here. We jumped on it again when it was right here. And so we're really loving what Workday was doing. However, we had jumped on our last trade on Workday at about the 216 to 218 level. It ran up, hit this past high, and was looking really good the day of earnings. It reported after the bell this day here. And then what happens? Earnings, I won't say they disappointed totally, but they, made somebody, it didn't quite live up to expectations, or maybe the forecasts and the projections were low. But we get a big drop off today. So, that's why I love to take on my trade that I picked up here to here. I was up about 10, 11%. So I went ahead and I closed the position out there. Why? I didn't want to give back my profit. That's why. And as you can see, this is a significant sell-off. Look at that. That is a huge downside volume. From where it closed yesterday to its low today, how far was that? Let's just take a peek. And what you'll see, it's probably about 7 to 8%, maybe a little bit more. There we go. To its low today. Yeah, look at that. To its low today, we've got an 8%. So by taking my profits off the table, I still think that Workday is going to be a great company. However, I like 8%. I like not losing 8% with my profits. So that's the way I approach it with earnings, because this happens, not just once in a while. It doesn't happen every time, but it does happen all the time. I'll show you what that looks like on an intraday chart. See, dropped off. It did drop back into a level of support and resistance, but with that huge selling. Another one this week that did the same thing is ZTO. ZTO, we've been milking ZTO. When I say milking, what I mean is we've been taking really nice profits off of ZTO for probably about the last 3+ months. And as you can see, we did the same thing on this. It would jumped up and hit this new high here. And so we said, hey, we're going to close. And in this particular case, because I was up, I think about 14, 15%, I said, I'm only going to close 3/4 of the position. So I'm still long, like a small portion of shares, but I pulled out the majority of everything up here. And I'm really glad I did, because look at the drop on, on this particular one. If I can get that to snap in. So from the close down to this, it's 10%. So to the low of the low, is 10.5%. So again, typically, again, this is one of those historical things. Stocks, when they report earnings, will basically move within a plus or minus 10% range. And so that's one of the reasons why that rule of thumb number is key. You know, if I'm up more than 10%, like 10, 15, 20%, I will tend to leave a piece of it on, but I'll close the rest of it out. Again, there's not a darn thing wrong with, I close it out. If it's a great stock, guess what? It's going to show us, it's going to give us an opportunity to get in it again in a very short order. So that's what I wanted to leave with you. And so, Steve, thank you so much. I'll just run through the rest of this. Here's where we're sitting for the year, up about 57%. We're 47% up on the S&P. What stocks? We already talked about that. I've basically mixed things up a little bit, remembering that what we do is we provide a timely, actionable intel that clarifies, simplifies the trading decision so that you can multiply your profits and minimize your risk. My thoughts for this week are basically patience, patience, patience. Excuse me, patience, patience, patience. And just take your profits quickly, trade the chart that's in front of you. And of course, if you're looking for a good journal, hey everybody, this is Dennis Wilborn, active trend trader. One of the things I promote all the time is learn how to journal. It'll make you a more consistent trader. One of the things I'm additionally proud of is my youngest son, Brandon, who developed these two journals, a mini journal and a full-size journal. That'll enable you to basically journal all your trades, follow the active trend trading rules, and it is a top seller on Amazon. So I put the links down in the description that'll basically show you how to take advantage of these two journals. Either one of them, they are fantastic. Aloha. So until, let's click through the rest of this. We answered that question. I did not update my question. So if you are joining us on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you'll be notified of when we update our videos there. And if you're looking for just a really simple way to trade, our entry-level top Power Rank Elite Top 5 AutoPilot system is doing really, really well for the year. Did I spell patience incorrectly? I'm not going to go back and look at it, David. I'll have to correct it. Thank you. Yeah, I'm an engineer, man. I was thinking about the patience, like the patients that are, never mind, I'm not going to go there. So anyway, hey, check us out. This, the Power Rank Elite Top 5. And until next time, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. So from our homes to yours, aloha, trade well, prosper. Steve, thank you so much for your for the stocks you brought to us.
You're very welcome.
And the discussion, it's always worthwhile. And so, again, you'll get a notification of how to subscribe and watch our next video. So until next time, aloha. God bless everybody. Have a great, great weekend. And have an awesome Thanksgiving. See ya.